Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. I'm Ariaka Daily, and today we are going to be talking about how to become a flight attendant. This video is going to be very detailed. We're going to go through all the steps, all the process from the application, the assessment, the virtual job tryout, the virtual interview, your face-to-face, and ultimately training. I'm going to go through it in detail because most people get stuck at different parts. Most people try multiple times. Myself, it took me 3 times to get a CJO. I applied numerous times. I probably applied over 12 times. But it wasn't until it actually clicked and I figured it out that I got my CJO. So again, this video is going to be very detailed, and if you are interested in becoming a flight attendant, then keep watching. If you have not already, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe with love. First things first, make sure that you are filling out the application thoroughly. Make sure that you are reading the application. Make sure that you actually agree to the things the application is asking you, because that is going to be very important if you actually get offered a CJO. Make sure that if you are submitting a resume, that the resume is tailored to a flight attendant position. If you're having any trouble with your resume, or this is your 18th time applying with your resume, resumes are not required. But if you are going to submit a resume, I highly suggest you get it revamped. That is another great perk from one of our sponsors today, which is flightessential.com. They will revamp your resume. They will do a mock interview with you. They will coach you and go over tips and just get you prepared for that face-to-face, get you prepared for that interview. Again, that's flightessential.com. But if you're going to submit a resume, I highly suggest that you get help with it, you get it looked at, you get it revamped, especially if this is your multiple time applying. So that's the application process. I am stressing to you, read the questions, make sure that you actually agree with what they are asking you. One of the big questions on there, are you willing to relocate to your base? Most people say, yes, I'm willing to move. I said yes on mine. I have a whole family. I don't know how I would have did that, but I did say yes. And I was just fortunate that I got based at home and I did not have to sign up to commute. Commuting in the first year is very, very tough. I've made a video about it. If you are interested in watching that video, then click the link that will be up here on the screen so that you can look at commuting. But there are questions on there. They're asking you, are you willing to push a cart for that is 85 pounds, 75, 65 pounds? Are you willing to relocate? Are you willing to get vaccinated for the different countries that you may have to go to? So make sure that you are reading the questions and you are answering honestly. And make sure that if you do choose to submit a resume, that the resume is tailored to the position that you are applying for. Make sure that your resume is up to date and make sure that it stands out. You know, every year when the applications open and it's hiring season, most of the major U.S. airlines receive over 100,000 applications and less than 1% actually get the job. So that is very, very important. The company that I work for, our application is currently open. Look at the application, read the company history, read the types of things that the company is backing, read what is important to the company, and make sure that the company that you're applying for, that your values align with their values. That's going to give you a head start. That's going to also, put you at a better position of knowing what your resume should look like, what it should focus on, and the things that should be said on your application. You should always answer honestly, but if you have different things that you can bring to the forefront that maybe they're not highlighted in your resume and you can tweak it a little bit, definitely do it. Again, if you need any assistance, flightessential.com is a great resource. They have resume revamps on there. You can do, again, interview preps, which is very important if you are not familiar with the STAR format. We'll talk later about the STAR format again, but just a really good resource. So the application. Let's go to step number 2. So getting hired as a flight attendant is very similar across most airlines. So all of the tips and information that I'm sharing here today will be applicable across them all. So the next part that will probably happen is you will receive an assessment. It's a talent assessment, a personality assessment. It is it's a bunch of questions to just get to know who you are, what type of personality that you have. They want to make sure that your personality actually aligns and fits with what the job, entails. They want to make sure that you are customer service oriented, that you are safety, focused, that you are safety conscious. So they want to make sure that whatever that job description is, that your personality aligns with who they are looking for. So keep that in mind when you are filling out your assessment. Know who you are applying to. And that's why it's so important to research all of the airlines, because there is a perfect fit for everyone, but this airline may not be a perfect fit for this airline. And they all have differences and many similarities, but they all have differences. So make sure that the companies that you are applying to really fit the life that you want to live, fit, the lifestyle, the, work-life balance that you want to have. That assessment, again, before you complete your assessment, make sure you read the job description, read the outline. Everything is right there. They're telling you who they are looking for. And then they send you an assessment and they back it up. They reiterate who they are looking for. So keep that in mind. Also keep in mind that when you are completing your assessment, you're completing it from the perspective of a working flight attendant. Imagine yourself in that job. Imagine yourself in that position and what you would do in those circumstances. And you will have a ton of success on your assessments for any of the companies. Again, I tell you guys this all the time. It took me 3 times to get a CJO. And I'm going to tell y'all that story in another video. But it took me 3 times, and it wasn't until I actually just started paying attention, really got serious, really got focused about getting the job, and really started doing my research. Prior to getting my CJO, I was not ready. To sum it all up, I was not ready. I was not prepared. It was just something I was just trying to do in my spare time. Like, oh, la-di-da, I'll fill it out and see what happens. And I got a thanks but no thanks every time. That's what happened. So just make sure that when you are filling out the assessments, when you are doing anything they're sending you, that you're already putting yourself in that position, and you are thinking as a flight attendant. You're thinking from their perspective. If I was in the sky, if I was handling this customer, what would I do? How would I approach them? What would be the best thing to solve this problem? And if you apply to this job already in the mindset as a flight attendant, then you are going to be successful on the assessment. Okay, so now that you've had success with your assessment and they have told you, yes, we like your personality, we think that you align with our values, and we would like to see you go further, they may send you a virtual job tryout. So in the last portion on the assessment, I advise that you think like a flight attendant. So on the virtual job tryout, you actually have to think like a flight attendant and as the owner of the company. When you are doing your virtual job tryouts, think like a flight attendant, yes, but also think from the perspective of what is best for this company. What is best? What if this was my company? What would be the best decision? So they may ask you scenario questions, and you have to choose what would be best for the company, what would be best for the customer, what would be the most safe, what would be, what would create a memorable experience. Again, do your research on the companies that you are applying to, but most U.S. air carriers, they're trying to, get all the business, they're competing with each other. So first they want to make sure that all of their customers are safe. And then they also want to make sure that you are creating long-lasting and memorable experiences for each and every person, but also still keeping in mind what is also best for the company. So when you're doing your virtual job tryouts and applying to become a flight attendant, you have to keep all three of those things in mind at the same time. As long as you do that, I think you will have success in your virtual job tryout and be invited to a virtual interview. You've passed the assessment and now you've done your virtual tryout. Now it's time to do a virtual interview. Most companies right now are doing virtual interviews and they're pre-recorded. So you answer about maybe 1 to 10 questions. You record yourself answering that question. They even give you an additional time to re-record it if you need to. But keep in mind, when you are answering these questions, again, you're answering them from the standpoint of a flight attendant, a customer service person, someone who cares about safety. You're also answering them in the STAR format. So for the virtual interview, I suggest you answer in the STAR format, and that just stands for situation, the task, the action you took, and the result. This will help you be concise and you're not telling long ongoing stories. So for the virtual interview, I suggest that you answer in the STAR format. When you come to your actual face-to-face, so you passed your virtual job tryout, you have gotten past your virtual interview, and you've been invited to the face-to-face. A lot of companies call this event day. It's fun, it's engaging, and usually companies do this in a group setting. So be prepared to interview as a group and in a group setting. But most importantly is when it is time for you to do your interview, make sure that you are still answering in the STAR format. It keeps the interview concise and it, gets right to the point. The only time you do not have to worry about it is if the interviewer tells you, hey, don't even worry about the STAR format. Let's just have a conversation. Let's just be conversational. And I'm telling you this because when I interviewed at one of the airlines that I worked for, my interviewer specifically said, don't worry about the STAR format. So unless it is told to you, definitely answer in the STAR format. Keep that in mind. So that's situation, the task, the action you took, and the result. So an example of the STAR format is the situation. I worked at a daycare. I was with a child whose mom was running late to pick her up. All children needed to be picked up by 6 o'clock, and currently it was about 5:50 p.m. The task. I needed to stay late to be adult supervision for this child, and I was not going to get paid any extra for it. The action. I just called my loved ones because I was now going to be late, so I made arrangements so that I could stay with this child. The result. The mom ended up picking up the kid by 6:10, and I actually ended up getting home earlier than I was supposed to, but I put the mom at ease and she was so appreciative about the extended customer service that I offered her. That's the STAR format. It keeps it very concise. It gets to the point. It tells what the situation is. It tells what the task is, the action you took, and ultimately the result. That sums it up. But just to give you a little bit more insight, I have told you already, think like a flight attendant. Think customer service. Think memorable experiences. Be prepared. If you know you have to answer in the STAR format, be prepared with your experiences from the past so that it doesn't look like you're making anything up. So now that you made it to the face-to-face, you know how you're going to answer your questions in the interviews. Just overall, enjoy the day. Be yourself. Make sure that you are smiling. Make sure that you are engaging with the people you come across. You don't have to bounce from person to person. And, I know people say, oh, talk to everyone, but genuinely talk to people. So don't just say, oh, okay, let me ask you a question. Let me ask you a question. Let me run over here and ask them a question. Genuinely be interested in what they have to say. Again, make sure that you're being friendly, you're smiling, making sure that you are not only talking to the people who are interviewing you, but also talk to the people who are there, because ultimately these are the people who will be your crew. So Interact with them as well. Be friendly, be courteous, be kind. I definitely, when you're asking questions, make sure you're introducing yourself. Hi, Brandon. Thank you for your time today. My name is Ariaka. I would like to know a little bit more about this base. Do you know anything about that? Make sure that your questions are job specific. Don't go in there asking random questions, about just random things. Make sure that you have good questions about what the job details. They want to see that you're interested in what you're going to be doing and that you're serious about it. Again, make sure that when you are asked a question that you are highlighting or using that opportunity to highlight why they should also hire you. Hey, Ariaka, what are you looking forward to, coming on board as our team? Oh man, Amy, thank you so much for asking me that. I'm really looking forward to bringing my experience and my experience from working with different people from different backgrounds and different nationalities and different age groups to this team as I travel with them on their, excursions. I'm really excited about that. Use all the questions that they ask you as a way to highlight something positive about you. Enjoy the day. Take it step by step. But again, in anything that you're doing throughout that day, whatever the company may require of you, make sure that you are already thinking as a flight attendant. Also, like I said, be kind, be courteous. Think like a flight attendant. Smile. Be genuine. Make sure that you're asking great questions about the job, and make sure that you're asking questions that you really want to know. When you go in there and you're trying to be a flight attendant, I suggest you ask about bases, ask about commuting, ask about schedules, ask about guarantees, because you're going to be on reserve. Ask about reserve. Ask about the things that are actually going to impact you as a new flight attendant. So now you've got through the interview stage and you've been offered a CJO. So you'll go through training, and training for each company varies. Most of the time it's like a college experience. You will have a roommate. They will ship you off to wherever their base is. And most airlines have headquarters in different cities. So you will go to their headquarters and you will be in a hotel room with another person for between 4 to 8 weeks, probably, just depending on the company. And in training, you are being trained on the FAA rules and regulations. That is what training is about. Training is about educating you on the aircraft that you will be operating, how to operate aircraft, emergency, safety, and also about the rules and regulations so that everyone can stay within the law that is outlined. So that is what training is about. But I say, if you are here, enjoy the process. If you do not get it, I mentioned earlier, over 100,000 people apply just to the company that I work for, and less than 1% actually get it. So if you don't get it on your first try, it is not the end of the world. It took me multiple times and 3 face-to-faces before I actually got hired and got offered a CJO. If this is your your 11th time, definitely consider getting some help or some hired help so that someone can mirror you and see where you are going wrong, or see where, you can tighten up or get better or improve. I went 3 times. The first time I shouldn't have got it. I was just completely unprepared. The second time I shouldn't have got it. I was a little bit unprepared, but I let the group setting get the best of me. The third time, I knew I was walking away with the CJO because I had learned from every experience and I was ready. So if you guys have any more questions, feel free to leave them in the comments below. And again, if you have not already, like, comment, and subscribe with love.